Hello everyone, Michael the Mechanical with a hot vlog here, and today I'm presenting the fact that we're still putting this baby together, and we finally got some more parts, and I've got some bad news. One of the expensive parts I'm not able to use unless I spend more money on the cylinder block, because there's an issue, okay? So there's two types of gaskets you can get for the head. One is your composite gasket, which is a standard gasket you normally get, which this is a composite gasket. It is a 1.6mm thick gasket. Then there is such a thing as an MLS gasket, and this is a 1.55. This is the gasket I need. I've checked it, all the holes line up. It's suitable for the engine. It has a few more holes in it than this head gasket normally would have, but it is at least suitable for the application scenario. The problem is, even though it has extra holes, it has even a hole between those two galleries there, so it's interesting to see that there's these little spots that are like potentially weak spots, but also at the same time I don't know if they are any concern or not. It's just interesting to see them like that. So the problem with this is I cannot use it on my deck because it's got some scratches in it and I can catch it with my nail. This means, even though I've had the machine work done, cost me $250 to have it cleaned, like hot tanked and cleaned and machined. The job is shit because I had to clean it again, and because I had to clean it again, it caused the deck of the surface to rust up, and I had to try and clean it off with one of my light, fine, gritty Scotch Brite pads, and I did that to get the rust off on the surface, and I did it over it really quickly because I didn't want to dig into the material, and the surface finish was still okay, but I found by eye I can find some scratches in it, and normally it's the texture, but there's a scratch here that I could touch with my nail, and that would cause some issues. So if I put the light to it, there's some scratches right here where my light is on. Don't know if you can see the imperfections there or not. Some over here, and then around the cylinder here there's one right there. If I keep going along I might find more, I don't know. But there's some scratches in there that are irregular that we don't want. There's scratches right here that probably could catch. Scratch right there. It's not a perfect surface. And here's the major problem. With all the stuff that's left to do, I said $2,400 in work left. That number has actually gone up a little bit because I've also bought some extra bits and pieces that makes that number go up even higher. But I also have to probably have that deck redone while it's assembled. I can't really disassemble it or anything, so unfortunately I'm at the position where I'm going to have to take this to someone who knows what the F they're actually doing and get them to prepare that surface for an MLS gasket. I feel like I should call up some shops first and find out, but it's not suitable for MLS, and I know I'm not going to be able to get much help from Mum and Dad. Unfortunately, they're not going to help me. I do want to get this going again, meaning this is going to be going into that. Also, hot vlog wise, I have a problem, a major problem that I didn't even know I had. There's this little lever here, and it's finally seized up. So there's something wrong down there, and that is no good. That's now seized. And I'm going to have to see if I can fix it or not when the engine's out and when it is a side project. This hot vlog is all about what's going on now as well. So I've only got about $70 left that I can actually spend before I start chipping into my bill money, and then I get in trouble because I didn't pay my bills on time. So it's one of those things where I have to be wise about my spending habits and stuff. So I have my MLS gasket here. I have my original 1.5mm gasket. I believe it's a 1.5. Yeah, it's a 1.5 gasket, and I have my 1.6. So in order, this is the smallest, this is the thinnest, this is the middle, and this is the thickest gasket that I can get. So if I can't use this one, I've got no choice but to use this one, and then it's too thick, and the car might not run quite right. So I need to choose wisely what one I want for optimum performance, make this thing be in spec and everything. I want to use the middle one. The middle one should technically be better, but I could also inquire to find out if I could potentially use some filler, like not copper spray, but Hylamar. If I could use Hylamar to make up for those imperfections there. Like, they're only small, but still, that little bit can cause a lot of issues, apparently, and grief with an MLS head gasket. Otherwise, the surface finish is pretty good. I would be almost certain that this is a good surface to use for the MLS gasket, but unfortunately, right now as it is, it's shit. I still have... I've recently cleaned out all these holes on camera. Well, not all of them on camera, a couple of them on camera. And I've washed them, I've blown them out. I also now have yet to do is make the little dowel pins that go in here, so it lines up the head correctly. And because I want to use an MLS head gasket, the head would be perfect for it currently, because that head's been perfectly machined. It's a brand new head. I shouldn't have to do any more surface prep for that head. That head's got a clean surface, perfect. The deck of the block is not. So I'm in the position where I can't do nothing at the moment, and I do think I'll be out of commission for a lot longer than I'd hope to be, because of all these tiny things that come together and tell us we've got problems. So I still got to pull parts off the the black Mamba to swap onto here, like the gear sets, and I'm going to be putting on the gear sets onto these balance shaft. I'm going to put it on the main shaft, so I could use a brand new round tooth set and make everything as new as possible and keep it, you know, round tooth. And then it's all essentially what I could call original. You know, you'll see the number on the side of the block and you'll be looking at it and be like, oh, that's built 1987. But everything about it, the block might have been built in that year. But all the parts are upgraded and more from a modern version of that same engine, because of all the little changes they made. The castings are exactly the same. It's one of the first castings they ever made. So, yeah. So I'm in trouble, guys. I can't really spend any more money, but I'm at the point where I'm going to try and do what I can, get away with what I can. So what I've done is I opened Mum's car up, and I've thrown, because Mum's coming with me for a drive to the shops. And you can see I've got the sump there still, it's always there. So I've thrown my old injector pump into the car, because I bought new injectors for my car. I've thrown in my turbo and the broken manifold in the car, because I'm going to have them check out the turbo to tell me if it's suitable for rebuilding or not. But I'm going to either way, even if I get an answer, I'm still going to have to rebuild it myself and put it together precisely the way it came apart. So no jokes there. And also pinching my dad's seal kit, because I can show them that I got that. And I still have a picture to take of Dad's to get an inquiry about that wheel and find out what the right wheel is. If they can tell me what the right wheel is, I'll say, look, if you just can't find that wheel, give me a number for the wheel that I need to put on Dad's car. I'm pretty sure I might be able to source something myself, because that's what I can do. I can do some of the impossible challenges and tasks for sourcing bits and pieces. But at the moment, the only good news to come from this is I have my job back. The bad news is I couldn't work today. In a couple days, couple weeks, I don't know when, I won't be able to work again, because Mum's got her car and it's the only car I can take to work at the moment. So I'll be borrowing Mum's car. Mum wants me to put my car back on the road, but I don't think she's going to help me with financial stuff. So that's going to be a bit of a pain, but it's not. It's all my problem, and these problems are within my constraints and my control to deal with. So I have to come up with the wisest decision of all to get this thing on the road. I do not want to stuff up my new injectors. As I said, I've got brand new injectors. Wisest thing to do if you have to get new injectors, if your injectors are stuffed, they suggested if you get new injectors, I'm going to have to open up the boot again. If you get new injectors, you should recondition your injector pump, or if the injector pump is worn out and starting to fail or giving in any weight, it's going to take these out again. So if you're getting new injectors, have them check out the health of your injector pump or rebuild it or whatever. So that pump there is the old one off my car. It never had real problems before, but it was leaking oil, so we replaced the seals. That's all we did. But now even though we've replaced the seals, there could be major problems with that, and we haven't even properly looked at it. So that's one of the reasons you should not really do an injector pump yourself. I have another injector pump here that's been driving the car for around a year, 2 years maybe, give or take. Could be longer, could be less. And this injector pump here could be failing, but I don't know what the condition or health of it is. So it's one of those things where, well, if I can get a quote on mine, and potentially if Mum would help me fund whatever I need that that's not out of my control. Like, it's ridiculous for me to ask Mum to help me with $2,400 worth of parts. It's going to cost me, just for this one part, this is probably the most crucial one out of these two, because with this one here, I've got a kit, I could rebuild it right now if I have to, and then I owe Dad money for his, but I wanted to compare the quality of that seal kit to the one I've ordered. And then if I have to use Dad's seal kit to rebuild mine, I have to pay for it. I have to buy him a new kit from the same company or whatever, genuine kit, and then he has a kit. And if I can rebuild mine, cool. That's that problem solved, and I'm almost there. All I have left is the deck of my block to either prepare or just get away with the composite gasket and clean it up as best as I can and use composite, or get it machined properly and use the MLS gasket like I need to use or want to use the correct one for my car. Then I've got the injector pump. This is the major part that has the most chance of destroying something I've already spent money on. So these could be stuffed up just by using that injector pump. So it's one of those decisions where it's going to be crude, it's going to be rough, and I'm going to have to figure out what to do. So we'll see. It's all scary, it's all nerve-wracking because of my budget's so tight right now. But if I do this all right, this car's engine will run for a very, very long time if looked after. As for the transmission, that's a longer-term project if it has to be done, because it can't be done today. Like, I was planning to rebuild my gearbox at the same time I do the engine if I have to, or replace at the same time, but it's just not possible to do everything at the same time. Then there is the case with the transmission where I said, hey, I'll do this around June. Getting close to June, I do not think I'll be able to afford it by June, because I have all these other expenses, and if I get help to be able to fund the repairs of this, then I'm going to pay that back and hopefully 10% extra on top of that, depending on, you know, how much I actually want to pay back interest and how much they want interest, if they want interest at all. But as long as my transmission doesn't fail, this will all be cool. This will be the best car I've had for a very, very long time. I'll have no more problems. I'll probably have the peakest performance I've ever had. It'll be like a new car. It'll be freaking awesome, and I'll love it. But I'm going to have to make all these wise decisions. So, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining in. Feel free to comment what you think below about this video and hot vlogging, and potentially who could you suggest South Australia to do the deck. Any ideas of price points to get it prepared for an MLS gasket? Potentially, who could I go through that I could get them to do the work now, get this all sorted, and then pay them back at a later date, even potentially interest, because I can now work, which is a good thing, and I'll be able to earn the money. Otherwise, I'll have my next income Monday next week for the Centrelink stuff, since I've been unable to work. And as of this week, potentially next week, I'll be able to start working again, depending on how much hours I get. I'm really hoping that I get more hours than I, on average, get. Otherwise, I'm going to be looking for a second job. But to make it easier for me to get around, and the reason why I want to get this project done is because my transport, my main form of transport, needs to be up and running and operational. I can't rely on Mum for her car to get me everywhere I need to go. I need this thing. And this thing here, even with all its problems, ran a little bit more cheaper to run than this car here, surprisingly. So, but the difference in power was tremendous. Mum had way more power than my car. She didn't have a problem going up hills. It was very powerful compared to mine. More torque, more horsepower. Whereas with mine, it was okay. It had plenty of torque until it hit a mountain, and then it struggled a lot. It would easily blow the head gasket, and it ran hot. It got hot, blew the head gasket, and then it would run cold. And it was ridiculous, because it wasn't running cold. That's the deception. It did not run cold. It was actually running hotter, because it had air in the system, and it could not get the heat out, and then it started probably warping things, which I don't know. So that's going to be a longer term project to do the second engine. Otherwise, thank you once again. So for rambling some more, Michael Mechanical, signing off for the hot vlog. Bye.